Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial we're going to talk about how to cut and sew this simple kimono in less than an hour, and of course it is beginners friendly. So if you want to learn how to make this, just stick around and watch this video to the end. And if you're just coming across my channel for the first time, thanks for stopping by. My name is Ifeoluwa. Please do well to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and also feel free to leave your questions and the comments in the comment section. Thank you very much guys. Now let's get started. So this is the only fabric I'm using for this tutorial. This is my Ankara fabric. You can go ahead to use any one of your choice. So what I'm going to do now is to fold this into two. I'm going to be starting with the back part of this kimono. Now this kimono that we are making is going to be a kimono that comes together with the sleeve. So the sleeve will be cut together with the body of the kimono. So this is my fabric folded into two already, and then I went ahead to draw out a line. This line here is going to represent the shoulder line. So this is the starting point of where the measurement will be taken. Then I measured out my chest line, or you can even call this the sleeve opening. So you make this as wide as you want. So I used 9 inches for this particular person. 9 inches is just fine for it. And then I measured out the length of the jacket. So I used 32 inches for this, and I added 1 extra inch for the sewing allowance. So you can make it more if you want, depends on how long you want it to be. So I did the same thing here, measured out the sleeve opening or the chest line. So just make sure that you have enough. If you want it to be wider than this 9 inches, you can make it 10 inches, can make it 11 inches. It just depends on how wide you want the sleeve to be. So this is just perfect for this person. I used 9 inches. And then I went ahead to draw out a straight line to connect the points that I have already made. Now here I measured out the across back measurement divided by 2, and then I marked that point. Then from that point I measured out what I want for the sleeve length, how long I want the sleeve to be from the shoulder to where the sleeve should be. So I used 10 inches, and then I ended up adding an additional 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I did the same thing here. I measured out exactly the same thing here, and then I drew out a straight line. So here I'm going to be putting the largest measurements that I have for this kimono. So the largest measurement I have is the hip measurement. So the hip divided by 4, and then I added an additional 4 inches or 3 inches. It depends on how wide you want the kimono to be. So I used about 4 inches, and then my seam allowance is also included in the 4 inches. So the seam allowance of 1 inch is also included there. So it depends on how large you want this to be. You can use as much as 5 inches if you want it to be bigger than this. So I measured that all the way down, and then I connected a straight line. Now on this part here, I went ahead to draw a slight curve so that this part won't be too sharp. So just a slight curve here to join them together. Now let's move on to the neckline area. For the neck width I used 3 inches, and for the neck depth I used 1 inch. So I'm going to connect that with my curve. Now when I want to cut out this part, I'll make sure to add my 0.5 sewing allowance. I already have my sewing allowance right here, and I already have my sewing allowance at the side there. So I'm just going to add my 0.5 on the neckline and the shoulder area. So I went ahead to cut out what I have on my fabric. So this is what I have for the back. Then I'll be using this particular one to cut out another piece so that we can now use one of them to do the front. So just watch what I'm doing. I'm going to cut out another piece, and as I'll set that aside, and that's going to be the main back. Then I'm going to use this one to cut out the front. So this is what I have. Then I'm going to use this one to cut out the front. So the back is the one that is folded, while the front is the one that is in pieces. So for the opening of the front, I'm going to measure out 1 inch. So I'm going to measure out the 1 inch all the way to the top there. And then here I just measured out the neckline, which is 8 inches, 9 inches. You can just use any value there. And then I connected the straight line, that is the 1 inch that I have measured, and I used my ruler to connect the neckline. So it should be like a V shape from this upper part, from the shoulder area here down to this point that I have there. So you just make sure that it blends into the 1 inch there. So that is just it for the front, and then I went ahead to cut out. So this is the front and this is the back. Now it is time to join this together. I'm still going to come back to cut out the collar. That is what the neckline area down to, from the back down to the front. so I'll still come back for that. But I want to first of all join this together. So I'm going to start with the shoulder. I'm going to join the shoulders of the front and the back together, so you make sure that the right sides are facing each other. Then after joining the shoulder, I'll fold the sleeve area here, so you just fold it using the amount of allowance that you added to it. And after folding that, I'm going to sew the sides using the 1 inch that I also left. So I'm going to sew the sides. Then after sewing the sides, I'm going to hem the lower part. So it is as simple as that. So here we go, this is what I have. And then you make sure that you notch that curved part there, so that by the time you sew into what the other side, it's not going to be squeezed. So I notched the curved part, and this is it. Now it is time to add the collar to the jacket. So this is what I've cut out for the collar. I used the height of about 5 inches, so that when it is folded into two, it is going to be like 2.5 inches. And then for the length, I made sure to have more than enough for this for the overall jacket. So I cut out more than enough for it. Now to join this to the jacket, just make sure that you stitch the ending there first. You stitch it and then you turn it over to the other side, and then you can start the sewing, so that it's going to look very neat. That is why I stitched the ending there first, and then I'm just going to attach it to the jacket all the way until I get to the other end. So before getting to the other end too, you make sure that you measure out what you have, and then you stitch the lower parts, and then you can now finish up. So the jacket is as simple as that, and this is the end. We've come to the end of this tutorial. Let me know if you are going to try this out. So in less than an hour or even 30 minutes, you should be done with this jacket, and then you can pair it as you like. You can rock it as you like. So let me know if you are going to try this out. Let me know if this was helpful in the comment section. Please give this video a thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much guys for watching. I'm going to see you in my next tutorial. Bye.